Hello friends, welcome back to Life in Envelopes. I am Jennifer Bleecher. So I have a jam-packed video for you guys today. First of all, we're gonna talk about budgeting. I have to make so many changes to the budget that I've decided to just start from scratch. So we are gonna redo the November budget. I know, like I want to be consistent and have some solid plan, but my life is crazy right now. Things are crazy. So I've got to figure things out, and it might be messy. My budget might be messy for a few weeks, so you've been warned. So we're going to completely redo the November budget today. I am going to do a cash envelope stuffing kind of in the middle of this video. So we'll do budget first, cash envelope stuffing, and then at the very end of the video, I'm going to be addressing a very juicy topic. So first of all, I did tell you in last week's video that if you had a question, to put it down in the section below. Make sure you put question and then your question, and then that lets me know that you're okay with me reading your question during my video. And then I will do a Q&A section at the end of every video. Well, you guys had so many questions and so many great questions that I did a video completely dedicated to the Q&A, and that already came out last week. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go check that out. So we're not doing a Q&A at the end of this video. Instead, I'm just going to be addressing one topic, and that is the whole living together situation. I'm going to talk about dating. I'm going to talk about our plans. I'm going to talk about how we're going to get out of things if things get messy. I'm going to talk about all that at the end of this video. So let's just jump into it. Okay guys, we're going to start here with a fresh budgeting sheet, and I'm going to be using one sheet for my entire month. So let's get this set up. So this is for the month of November. And the first big change is last week, let's go back to last week. I was saying I'm supposed to put $525 into the account based on the terms of our divorce. I'm supposed to put $525 every week. That's my contribution to covering family expenses. But I thought I could do $370 into the account and then the rest in cash, so I could do cash envelopes. Turns out that's not allowed. I have to put $525 into the account, just like I agreed to when we filed for divorce. So I'm going to first do that, add all of my income, income that needs to happen this week, this month, and then we'll talk about, potential additional income in just a minute. Okay, so 525 times 4 is $2,100. That's how much I am contributing to our family bank account during the month of November. So my actual amount might be higher, and when it is higher, I get to say what happens to that higher amount. So like today, this week it is going to be higher. So last week it was actually $525. This week it is $625. So that means I have $100 to work with besides what I owe to the family. Okay, so let's look at fixed expenses. So first is mortgage, and the amount that I contribute to our mortgage is $668. Next is car insurance, and that is $66. Internet is $55. And so all of these things that I'm writing down here, this is the amount that I am responsible for. This is what my $2,100 covers during the month. Next is cell phone, and that is $42. Okay, then we have water for the house. This is actually water and electricity, and that is $146. Then we have gas for the house, and that is $20. Then there is a car payment, and that is $59. Loan number 2 is $284. Garbage is $13. And then gas for the car is $20. Okay, and then finally we have the amount that I contribute for our monthly like television subscriptions, like Netflix, that sort of thing. I contribute $7 towards those. Okay, so let's add all this up and see how much that is all together. Okay, that is $13.60. So 2,100 minus $13.60 is $7.40. Okay, moving down here to variable expenses. So we're currently at $7.40. So there are 3 variable expenses that I'm also have to contribute to, and that is miscellaneous. This is for anything that's not, that we didn't think of or we don't cover with our other categories. Groceries and household expenses. So I contribute $100 to miscellaneous, $400 to groceries, and $200 to miscellaneous expenses. So altogether, that is $700. So I have an extra $40 for some reason. I feel like I must have done something wrong because I shouldn't have an extra $40. So for some reason I have an extra $40. I'm not sure why, because I'm pretty sure that my 525 is supposed to cover all of these things. I'll have to take a closer look at that later and see why that is. Maybe something is wrong here. But for now, I have an additional $40 for some reason. So there's one more category I'm going to add to variable expenses, and that is spending money for me. Now, as far as my budget goes, I actually don't, I'm not going to budget anything towards that. This money will come from extra income that I make. So we'll talk about what I'm going to do specifically with this week's extra income in just a moment here. But as far as the budget goes, okay, right now I'm not doing sinking funds because I'm trying to get everything else figured out, but eventually I will bring sinking funds back. Sinking funds are, they're like a short-term savings. Basically, you save throughout the year for a big expense like Christmas and things like that. So that is a sinking fund, but we're not going to do that right now. I'm not going to worry about paying off extra debt at the moment. Let's talk about savings. So from this extra money that I make each week, I'm going to be putting money towards both spending money for myself and savings. So I'm going to budget zero because I'm not planning on having extra money, but when I do have extra money, I'm going to put the actual amount that I was able to save. So we had $40 and zero here for our total savings means that we have leftover $40, which I don't want. I want to have a leftover amount of zero, which means I have a place for all of my money. So like I said, I just don't know at this moment where I messed up. So I don't know why I have an extra $40. Okay, so now let's talk about how I'm going to track this extra amount of money. And I've decided, so there is a page at the end of every month, just a blank page. And this is the space that I'm going to be using each week to track my variable expenses. The variable expenses here and the spending money and savings money. So I'm using these stickers from my Etsy shop. And I have 4 here because I'm going to do 1 per week. So let me go ahead and get this set up. Okay, so I left a little bit of space at the top of each of these so I can write the date range that each box is going to cover. So this first box is for my week 1, and that is covering October 29th through November 4th. And as I look at the calendar, I'm looking at the calendar on my wall here, we have another week in November. We have November 26th through December 2nd. I'm going to write it on this same sticker here. So November 26th through December 2nd. Okay, so starting with miscellaneous, I did not spend any money on miscellaneous expenses this week, so we still have $100 in that category. For groceries, I spent $100, so we still have $300 there. For household, I ended up spending $80 on household expenses this week, so that leaves $120 for the rest of the month. I didn't have any extra money to put towards spending or savings this first week, so that's $0, $0, $0. So altogether we had $700 to start with. I spent $180, so that's 520 that we had left over at the end. Okay, moving on to week 2, that is this week. So we're starting miscellaneous with 100. We are starting groceries with 300, and we're starting household with 120. So I do have some money for spending and savings this week. So I'm going to put $40 towards my spending money. Spending money, I can spend it any way I want. So for me, I'm currently probably going to spend it on entertainment to do fun things with Logan, and also spend it or save it for clothing for Logan and I. So that's what my spending money is going to be going towards. And then savings, we're going to put $60 towards savings today. So we're starting with, let's see what we're starting with. $620. And when we come back next week, we will talk about how much went to each of these categories, okay? So we'll do that part next week. So let's go ahead and do the savings challenge right now. Okay, so we should have $60 here to work with. We have 10, 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So I've decided to take away the $1 challenge. So we are actually going to take the money from the $1 challenge and add that here, and then at the end today, it will go towards our 100 envelope challenge. So let's see how much we have here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have $9 that will go towards that. I don't need this envelope, so I'm gonna take it out. Okay, so first we have our $5 challenge, and the way I do the $5 challenge is I roll the dice, and whatever I roll, that's the number of fives that will go into this envelope. So it could be 1 5, it could be up to 6 5s. Okay, so 4 5s are going to that envelope. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we already had 2 there for 10, so now we have 6. 6 times 5 is 30, right? We have $30. I'll double count that in just a second. Let me grab my stickers. Okay, so I'm going to add 4 stickers today. Okay, so we should have $30 here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And we're currently saving for clothes, so our goal is $250. So when we fill this whole card, we will have $250 saved up. Okay, moving on to the $10 challenge. And this is where you guys come in. Every week when we do this, I ask you guys to pick a number between 1 and 3. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to do this, but you guys picked the number 3. So whatever number ends up in the 3rd spot, that's what we're going to add today. So we're either going to be adding $10, $20, or $30 today. So I'm just going to turn these over and mix them up. This is a good opportunity to remind you guys to pick a number for next week, 1, 2, or 3. What number should I save next week? Okay, so you guys picked number 3. So you guys picked, yes, $30. I'm excited because this is my Christmas envelope. And I mean, I don't really need $500 for Christmas. I want at least a couple hundred though. I only have to buy Christmas gifts for Jacob and Logan, my 2 sons, and then my parents. So my 2 parents. That's all I'm buying Christmas gifts for. But still, I'd like to have more than I currently have. So today we're going to add $30, 10, 20, 30. Let's see how much we have all together. We have 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Yay! Let's see what the other numbers were. So number 1 was $10 and number 2 was $20. How funny. It ended with 10, 20, 30. That is funny. Okay, so we're adding $30. We're adding 3 gift boxes today for Christmas. And then we still have 1 challenge left. We're going to be doing the 100 envelope challenge. And what we do there is I'm going to use all this extra money, whatever is left over from our savings challenges, that goes to the 100 envelope challenge. So we will do that next. By the way, I think I forgot to tell you, these stickers and these cards that I'm using, they're from my Etsy shop, Life in Envelopes. So the 100 envelope card, the way it works is there's 50 on the first side and then 51 through 100 on the back side. And each week we just see what we can fill. So let's see what we can fill this week. We have 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19, which has already been filled. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 18 today, and we're gonna save $1 for next week. That's the way I decided to do it. So let me get the 18 sticker, and then we will put this in a sealed envelope. So the reason why I like to put these in a sealed envelope is I don't want to be tempted to dig in and use them when I have a challenging week. So I'm gonna put 18 in this 18 envelope here, and then we're gonna seal it shut. Okay, so that is it for the savings challenge. And now we're gonna go over the divorce question that people have been asking about. So we'll get to that right now. Okay, so let's get into this whole living together situation. I've had some mixed feedback about it. There's some people who are very confused. They don't understand how we could possibly make it work. There's some people who think it's going to be very difficult for me. There are some people who totally get it and think it's great that we're doing this for Logan, who is our youngest son. But there just seems to be a general sense of confusion and questions, and I just want to address some things. So first of all, when I first asked David for a divorce, continuing to live with him was not even remotely on my radar at all. I was ready to sell this house, get an apartment, or even move to Michigan to be closer to my parents. I looked at all kinds of options. And then as time went on, and we were working out the details of everything, and I want to say calmed down. I don't know if that's the right word, because divorce is very hard, you guys. And when I first asked David for a divorce, when the event happened that caused me to ask him for a divorce, it was hard on me. I went through a really rough time. I was literally throwing up. I was so sick to my stomach. I was literally throwing up. For a period of time, I really disliked David. Where was I going with this? Oh, but the point is as time went on, my feelings about everything calmed down a little bit. We are now at I'd say we have a healthy co-parenting relationship at this point. He and I are not friends per se. Perhaps one day we can get back there, but I'm not ready for that yet. So some people are like, how can you possibly live with your ex? Isn't that hard? Yeah, it can be. I'm lucky for a few reasons. One, David is somewhat reasonable. No, I'm just kidding. David's a pretty reasonable guy. He was never abusive to me, ever. So don't worry about me in that way. I was not abused. And because of our opposite schedules, we literally never have to see each other if we don't want to, which he works the night shift, and he's up all night, and then he sleeps all day. And I have the opposite schedule. Even on the weekends, he usually doesn't even wake up before I'm ready to start settling down for the night. And we have our separate spaces. We both have our own rooms. We both have our own bathrooms. The benefit of living together is that he is available for Logan. If Logan needs him, he's here. And frankly, the financial benefits of continuing to live together are great for me. So if David wasn't living with me, I would have a few options. One, I could get a roommate, but that's kind of a gamble. You never know how that's going to work out. Even if I had a roommate who was a really good friend, we don't know what it would be like living together, and it might not work out. I already know what it's like living with David, so I don't have to take a gamble on bringing somebody new into the home. And that's if I wanted to keep this house. Now, if I wanted to sell this house, that would be another option. I could sell the house and I could move on to you know, a new location. But for me, that would be an apartment, and it would be a very teeny tiny apartment based on what rent is like in my area and versus what I can afford. It will be a very, very small apartment, either a studio or a 1-bedroom. And I have this whole factory here, sticker factory, that I would have to fit into that space. And these machines, especially this one, makes a lot of noise, and I don't know how my neighbors, if I were in an apartment building, how they would handle that. So those are the other, besides continuing to have David basically as a roommate, I would either have to have another roommate to replace David and what he brings in, or I would have to get my own place. And I just feel like both of those options are not good for me at this point in time. I do hope that at some point in the future, I can move on. So the plan is that we're going to continue to live together until Logan is 18. He's currently 12. He's almost 13. He'll be 13 in February. And so that gives me time to get debt paid off, to get like a little savings cushion for myself, so that when I am ready to move on, I can be in a better place financially. That is the ultimate goal. And like I said, I'm lucky in the sense that my ex is a pretty reasonable human being. We get along okay. In fact, like, he's ready to be friends again. I'm not quite there myself, maybe one day, but he's a very reasonable person to live with. He's not a difficult person to live with at all, especially because our schedules are opposite. And we, like I said, we never have to see each other if we don't want to. Okay, but let's talk about dating, because that's a whole different element. Now, personally, and this may change, I don't see it changing, but personally, I never want to date again. I have zero interest in ever having another romantic relationship with somebody. I'm 46 years old. It's just not important to me at this stage in my life. I'm a strong, independent woman, and I am excited about being in charge about my future and making my choices and not having to consult another person about those choices. That's not for me. He, on the other hand, is interested in moving on, perhaps moving on one day and dating again. And he told me he's not quite there yet. He's not ready to start that yet, but that's not off the table for him. That might happen in the future. So that's what the 6-month thing comes in. So if he starts to date somebody, which we've already agreed, if he starts to date somebody, he won't be bringing them to this house, because we feel like that would just be hurtful to Logan and Jacob too. It just wouldn't be nice to them. And it wouldn't be nice for them, for him to bring somebody over to this house. So we've already have that agreement, but if he does start to date somebody and it gets serious and he wants to move out because he wants to live with this person, then he can give me 6 months notice and we will sell this house and split the profits and do all that then at that point. So even though we have this like 5-6 year plan, it can be terminated at any point with 6 months of notice. And I can do the same thing. You know, maybe next year I'll be in a different place financially and be ready to move on financially and feel like Logan's strong enough for us to have separate houses. And then I'll just have to give David 6 months notice and then I can move on from there. Okay, I don't think I breathed through that whole thing. So that's where we're at. I hope that helps clear things up a bit. I know that honestly, that part is really nobody's business, and I don't have to share, you know, my thoughts or my feelings on things in this situation. I'm choosing to do that because I want to share with you guys. I share a lot with you guys, and the thing that stops me, I mean, I would share more with you if I could, but the thing that stops me sometimes is I try to think about how what I'm sharing could affect my kids. Like, would it hurt my kids? Then I try not to share it. And I don't think what I shared today will hurt my kids. I don't think. Okay guys, so next week's video, I am planning on doing the Q&A section again at the end of the video. So if you have a question for me for next week, please put it down in the comment section below. Make sure you put question first and then write your question out. That way I know that you're comfortable with me reading your question out loud in the video. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and I'll see you all again next time. Bye everyone.